yeah, the password is correct. So just be careful what you're trying to, where you're trying to mark yourself. So it's time for us to flaunt our inner designers, because we're about to learn some CSS. And to start off, I want to show you this website. One moment. Would like to show you this website, and it's actually looking lovely. Hopefully in the future you will be able to do you will create something like this. But you see how this looks, okay? But what happens if we remove CSS? So right now, those are the things that are moving parts here and there, and it's actually looking lovely. And we can find all other websites who are actually were getting prize for best designs and so on. But what happens if we remove CSS? So here, if I disable all styles, this is how this website looks like without CSS. So it's pretty much, well, a standard HTML with images, links, icons, but there is nothing else that there is nothing we can't do. So everything is quite doable for us. So it's time for us to try to do something with CSS. Okay, and there are project files that I sent you. So it includes index.html, login.html, and about.html. Those three documents are, well, let's say they are almost identical. So if you all open them in your text editor, you will find that they are well, almost identical. So let's see. Let me open it with you. One moment. Okay. So this is how it looks like. So we have three files. Inside we have well, an unordered list with three list items. We have a header section, and we have well, pretty much that's it. Okay, and we have inside of header section we have one heading, home, and one paragraph, and in all other documents it's going to be the same. So it's time for us to float on our inner designer. And the first thing I would like to show you is that how can we create CSS files, okay? So to do some CSS or so to create the CSS files, we can go to, well, in your Visual Code, you can go to File and you can say New File. So by default, new file is going to be created with something that we call plain text. So it's neither HTML nor CSS nor Java. So it's just the plain text with just regular words inside. So it doesn't mean it's not compilated by any other extension. So here you can change it. So you can select language modes here. So let's open it, and we're going to select it as CSS. And you can see we have lots of languages here as well. So we have a Docker files, we have Go language, HTML, Java, JavaScript, JSON, and so on. But for now, let's just make it CSS. Okay. And you can see it automatically changes the icon to CSS. This is the sign of it, sharp. Okay. And let us save it as well for now. So I'm going to save it on my desktop where I have my login HTML, my index.html files, and my about.html files. And let me call it, well, I'm going to call it, let's say, styles.css. Okay, so I have now index.html file and my CSS. Okay. And I have this CSS cheat sheet. One moment. It is actually going to help us to, well, to understand CSS better, and is going to help us as well in some moments. Okay, this is for me. So let's go back. And the first thing is, well, CSS stands for cascading style sheets. And at the most basic level, indicates that the order of CSS rules matter. Okay. Well, style sheets you understand, but what does cascading means? Cascading means is that it cascades from top to bottom, okay, and it's processed, or let's say compiled by a web browser or by your server from top to bottom. So if you're going to create styles, all of them are going to be like in an HTML document from top to bottom. So it's not going to be like any references here going to that on top. No, everything starts from top and finishes on bottom. Okay, no other way. So the first thing is I would like to show you, or I would like to introduce you to selectors. And selectors are things that are going to help us identify styles that we want, that we would like to use for our HTML documents. Okay. So previously you probably saw something like this. Okay. So let's say we have a button, and the button say class button primary. What is class? Class is actually a space separated list of the classes of the element. So MDN gives us a reference, but actually we can create CSS class selectors. Okay. And how can we create selectors? So selectors can be any type. Okay, it can be either tag selectors, so we can select all the tags that refer to button. We can create, we can select also classes. So all the tags that have class, let's say button primary, or we can create, we can select IDs. So specifically, let's say this section has an ID something something. Okay, let's say section main, okay, or other things as well. But those are the basics, and let us start off. So the first selector I would like to introduce you today is called tag selectors, and we actually create selecting tags. Okay, and we have different one. We have HTML tag, we have head, we have header, nav, a UL. All of them are tags, so we can create, we can select them. How do we select tags? Okay, in order for us to select tags, we need to, well, refer to our CSS sheet. Okay, and for us to select an element, we just simply, we just simply say h2, for example, for elements of h2 tag, and this is how we need to specify it. Okay, so h2 plus, this is what we call brackets. Okay, those are, people say it's curly brackets. Some people call it just brackets, but these are the brackets, and these are parentheses. Okay, so this is things that you need to understand also in English. in Russian, we always call this as a curly brackets, and these are just regular brackets. But in English, these things are called parentheses, and these things are called brackets. So in brackets, you can specify styles for your tags or for your elements. And the first thing I would like to show you for today, let's say font styles. And we have different types of font styles. For example, we can specify font weight, we can specify font size, we can specify font family, and so on. So let's just begin with the font weight. H2 now, by default, let me open it. Okay. By default is bolded, right? So it means that the font weight is already bold. What we can do is we can make it as usual. So we can make it back to normal, and this is how we do it. So let's say font weight, and font weight style accepts, or let's call it font weight parameter, accepts two types of values. The first type is numbers from 100 to 900, and then it also accepts text values: bold, bolder, light, normal, inherit, initial, and unset. And the last three things we're not going to talk about them now. We're going to talk about bold, bolder, lighter, and normal. So what do you think is normal? Normal is actually the way we usually see text. So P is actually a normal text, and home here is already a bold text. So how do we get back to normal text? How can we get our heading back to normal? So we simply can say font weight normal. And if we save it now and save it here, refresh, nothing would happen. Could you please tell me why nothing is happening with our document right now? Anyone? Any ideas? Why nothing happens?
It doesn't connect it to
with
HTML
our document. Yes, hello? Sorry, one moment. Yes, hello?
It doesn't connect with HTML file. I mean,
yeah, so
references.
So it means we are not connecting it, right? So our HTML is not connected with our CSS. Okay. So how do we connect it? So let me show you, and let me share the screen once again. One moment. So this is how it looks like. And if we go back to our code, in reality, we haven't connected our style.css with our HTML. So there is no, they don't know about each other. So how do we connect them? And there is a special tag called link. A link helps us to connect our index.html or our HTML files with any other files that we need for this project. And specifically, we are now going to connect it with style.css. Okay, and link tag accepts the following parameters, or the following attributes. The first one is called href. So here we need to specify the name or the link to our styles, to our style.css document. And we can simply now, because we are in the same folder, so specifically on my computer, I have my index.html and my style.css in the same folder on my desktop. So I don't need to specify any other things rather than, sorry, I don't need to specify any other things, but the styles name. So I'm just going to say style.css. And the next thing we need to specify is what we call a relationship. So not only we say that, oh, this is the link to our CSS file, but we also have to tell our HTML document that this is the actual CSS file. So there is a kind of a relationship between HTML and CSS. And to say that, we need to use the attribute rel, stands for relationship. So it says this attribute names a relationship of the linked document to the current document. Okay. And what is the relationship? The relationship is, sorry, I forgot the name of the relationship. Style sheet. Just simply say style sheet. Okay. So we are saying that this particular document has a relationship of a style sheet to our HTML file. And if you save it now, and if we go back to our website and if we refresh, you can see something has changed already. And something is that our home is no longer bold. It's no longer bolded text. Is now what we call a normal text. Okay. So let us go back to our code now. So since our CSS is finally connected to our index.html, we can now just continue with a CSS. So we don't need to go back and connect it one more time. So all of the things that we are going to do now is here. So style.css. What is another parameter we can specify here is, well, let's say I would like it to be also italic. So to make our things, to make my text italic, I can use font style, and here it says the following. So you can be either normal by default, oblique, inherit, initial, and unset. Okay? And usually it's just between these two, either italic or normal. So with the font style parameter, we specify our italic text. So I'm going to say it's italic now, and I'm going to save this document, and definitely I need to refresh my page, and now my text is italic. So it turns italic this time. What are the things I can do as well? Well, let's say I can change color. Change the color. I don't need to go to font family. I just need to say color. And those are the colors available for you. So you can use any of them, black, blue, and other things. And for colors, actually in computer science or in any other, well, in computer actually, it understands colors in 3 different ways, specifically in web technologies. So the first thing is it understands regular color names. So if it would like it to be blue, we can say it's blue. So now if we save it like this, and if we refresh our page, you can see it turns blue, right? If we would like it to be, let's say, green, we can simply say green and refresh our page, save it and refresh it, and it's going to turn green. But what if you don't know what's the name of your color? Okay, so it's going to be like well, those fancy names like forest green or floral white, fuchsia, or let's say bleached almond, burleywood or something. So those are the not normal color names that we know in English and we don't know in any other language. So we need to look for color, okay, that we would like to have it on our website, and then just paste it without those names. And color also accepts what we call hexadecimal numbers. Okay, it accepts hexadecimal numbers. Okay, I'm not going to understand what is hexadecimal number now. I'm just going. I would like to show. I would like to show you the following. So if you go to Google and if you're going to say color, let's say picker. If you go to Google, sorry, if you go to Google and if you say color picker, the first thing that is going to pop up here looks like this, okay? And it is actually allows you to play around, okay? Choose the color that you want to see. So maybe it's going to be pink, but a very bright pink or very dark pink or something, okay? But let's say, well, I like this color, okay? How do I know its name? So there is no like English name for this color, but there is something that we call hex, stands for hexadecimal. And if we copy this one, and then we copy, I'm going to use Control C or this button here, okay? And if I go back to my style.css, now I'm going to paste it here, okay? And you can see it automatically detects that we need this dark pink, okay? So I'm going to save it now and refresh. If I refresh my website, you can see it turns, well, pink, right? So this is the way you specify colors for your elements on your website. You can either choose colors that you would like to have. For example, if you would like to have it more blue, but not that blue, but gray blue or something. And this is the way you can do it. It also accepts RGB, stands for red, green, and blue. So any color in the world is a combination of red, green, or blue, except I think black and white. So if you would like something like this, when we were, let's say, children, and I used to actually, when I was a child, I used to paint a lot, and when I was, let's say, run out of red or orange, my mother actually told me that I can mix red with white and it would give me orange. So I can, make my sun orange or make something else orange. Okay, so that's the way things work as well everywhere else. So you basically mix red, green, and blue, and it gives you any color you want. Okay, so this is how we also get things in computer science. So if you want, or in web technology specifically, okay, so if you want to get, for example, this gray, dark gray blue, I can also copy these things. But I can't simply paste it like this. I need to say RGB, and in parentheses, I'm going to specify my parameters. So it's going to be 129 red, 149 green, and 181 blue. So at the end, it will give me this color, okay? And if I refresh my page, you would see that it turns exactly the same, like this one. And we also have CMYK, HCB, and HCL. So I'm not going to teach you that. I think you'll understand how it's working. But that's the way. And I don't actually, not many people actually use these things. Most of the people use either hexadecimal numbers or RGB. Okay. But in case if you see something HCL or HTV, don't be confused. It's just another way of formatting your color. Okay. Let us move on. And the second thing is, and the next thing I would like to specify for today is, let's say, color, font weight, style. Let's say font size. Don't forget about the structure or the syntax of CSS. Okay, this is how you open selectors. And inside of selectors, you write parameters you first start with a parameter name, and then you have colons, and then you have value, and after the value, you close it with semicolons. If you don't close it with semicolons, it will assume that you're continuing your previous value. But here I close it with semicolons, and I'm going to start a new attribute or a new parameter. And the next one is called font size. Okay, so here I would like to specify the size of my H2. Okay, and by default is actually already big one. Okay, so you can see it's much bigger than any other text on my website, but I would like it to be much bigger than this one. Or let's say I would like it to be smaller than this one. So how can I specify it? Let's go back to our font size parameter. And here I can say something like, let's say 26 pixels. And in terms of sizes in CSS, it actually accepts many parameters, but today we're going just to talk about pixels and text values. Okay, so and probably we're also going to talk about relative fonts sizes, but later on the course. Okay, so the first one is pixels, and we all know pixels. Okay, this is just a regular font measurement we use, or size measurement we use in when we're displaying something. Okay, so we have, let's say font size we set at 26 pixels. So let us see if the size is going to change, if it's actually going to be bigger or smaller than this one. So if I refresh, you can see it's a little bit bigger than the previous value. So let us make it more obvious. So I'm going to say 36 pixels instead of 26. And now I'm going to save it, refresh, and now you can see it's much bigger than we had before. So this is the way you specify sizes. You can, of course, you can say something like large, okay? And it's going to be, you can see it's not that large as you think it is. So the actual sizes for text values are, well, they are known, but they do not actually reflect what we want. Okay, so instead of saying something like larger or large or medium or small, instead I encourage you to use pixels. So instead of saying large, you probably need to say 20 pixels or something. Okay, because as I said, words does not reflect their actual sizes, because it's kind of a relative value. Large for someone is like this big, or for someone else is going to be much smaller. And those are the sizes, and you can specify the font size for your element H2. Now let us do something else. So I'm going to save it now for H2, okay, and but not let it bring it back to 36. Okay. So now we up until now we've been working with H2. So on our document, okay, we have our only one H2 document. So it was home. But what if we will have more than one H2 element? So let's say home, and also I'm going to say second home. Okay. What do you think will happen? Well, if we refresh our page now, we will get home as our first H2 element, and then the second H2 element also saying home, okay, second home, sorry. And you can see both of them are taking the same parameters, so they are all italic. Both of these are italic, with the same font size, with the same color, and with the same font weight. So when you are applying this, when you are selecting this element, you're actually selecting all the elements on your website, in your HTML structure. Okay. So is there any way how can we select only the first H2 element? There are many ways, and let me tell you briefly how can we select only the first one. To select the first one, I'm going to refer to CSS styles, or let's say CSS element, sorry, CSS selectors. And the first page that is going to pop up is called CSS selectors reference. And if you open it, you will see in CSS selectors are patterns, used to select the elements you want to style. And there are, you can see, many types of selectors. We start with the class and so on. And here we have our element. And by example, as an example, it tells us P, and it says selects all P elements. And this is what we currently have. We have our element H2, and we select all H elements on our page. But what if I would like to select H2 only the first one? And how can I do that? So there are many ways, and let me tell you, the first one is, well, if we would like to have the first H2 element, okay, we need to do something like element plus element. Okay, so we need to say div plus p, for example, and it will select the following. It selects the first p element that is placed immediately after div element. Okay, and this is just an example that W3 Schools gives us. But if we go back to our index.html page, okay, you will see that our first H2 element, this one, comes right after section ID or after section element. So following that understanding, how can we say, or how can we select only H2 that is first, that is coming after after section element? We can say something like section plus H2. Okay, and here, to make things look different, okay, we're just going to change the color. So the all other H2s, or all the H2s on the page are going to be, let's say they're going to be black by default, but the element or H2 element that comes first right after the section element is going to have this color. And if we refresh it and check our web page, one second, something is wrong. I haven't practiced it, but I think there is a mistake in my understanding that I think section is not on the same level with H2, because actually H2 is like a child of section. So I can say that this one is on the same level. So we can't say that H2 is placed immediately after section. Okay, so probably we need to change something like H2 plus H2. So let's just try H2 plus H2. And if we refresh our page, yeah, now it works. Okay, the reason is that because H2 are the children of section, so they are not be considered to have a place right after section. Okay, right after section we don't have anything. Okay, so the logic was wrong. Sorry, my bad. Okay. But anyway, now what with H2 plus H2, what I'm saying is that I would like to select the second or the first H2 that comes right after H2. Okay, so if we will have third H2, that is going to say, let's say, third home, we will see the difference. I need to refresh my memory on CSS. Anyway, so now if we go back and if we check it, if we go back and if we check it, you can see only H2 that comes after the first one is or has changed its colors. Okay, the first one is by default is black, and the second one is that dark blue color. And another thing we can do is I can change the color of P, okay, without selecting all P's, but just say H2 plus P, and we're going to say color. Let's make it green. Okay, so now our P turns green, but if I will have another P or another P element somewhere else, our paragraph, let's say here at the beginning, so before any home, you can see the difference. The first P element that comes before H2 is has a green color, or sorry, has a black color, and the second P that comes after the H2 element has green one. Okay, so those are the selectors that we can use. We also can say select all P elements where the parent is a div element. And the parent, I already explained you the relationship. So section is a parent of P, it's a parent of H2 and P, and body is a parent of section, and so on. So there is a kind of relationship between those elements. So now let's just go back and what else we can change, or how can I select specific elements? To be more precise, if you are confused with this combinations like div is greater than P, div plus P, div this sign, okay? So we can use what we call classes and IDs. Okay? And the class helps us to select the following. Okay, so let's say we have a class that says button primary. And let's just make it button btn. Okay, so we have a class btn, and by default our button looks like this. So if I click on it, nothing happens, but this is how it looks like. So what I can do with my class button. So if I go to styles, okay, now, and if I say dot, and then I say class name, let's say btn, and I open my brackets. So inside of this one, I can specify all the rules or all the attributes that I want to have for class btn. So I can say now color, I would like it to be, well, let it be blue. I would like to increase the font size. So I would like it to be 20 pixels or 30 pixels. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so what happens is that button class will have the following. Let's see. Now the size of the text is much bigger, and the value has changed, or the color has changed. Now it's no longer black, it's blue. Okay, and we just selected this element using not the element selector, but the class selector. Okay, and no other thing has been affected. Okay, only a button with a class btn. So if I will have another button, but the class will be different, or there will be no class at all. So let's say it's going to be, we're going to say secondary and default and secondary. And now if we refresh our page, you will see that default accepts this value, like it turns blue, it has bigger font size. Secondary remains the same. Why is that? They are both buttons, but the first one has a class btn, and the second has no class at all. So we are selecting only elements with the class btn. And if I will add more buttons, let's say button third, thirdly, and I will specify this class also to be btn, you will see that default and thirdly turns blue, it's much bigger, and the secondary remains the same. Okay, but it works not only with elements of the same group, not only button elements, but I can actually turn anything I want blue, and it will have 30 pixels size. So let's say the first text, or the no, let's leave it as it is. So let's add a new paragraph, and let's say, hello, this is I2. Okay, so now, hello, this is I2 by default is going to look like this. Okay. So it's black, it's just a regular size, and that's it. So what if I specify the class attribute here, and I will say it is btn as well. Btn actually stands for button, but anyway, so I'm just going to say btn. What will happen? Well, just guess, it will turn blue. It will also be much bigger than the regular size. So with the class selector, or with the class attribute, we can select elements of the same group that we would like to turn maybe something. We'd like it turn bigger, or we'd like to change the style. Okay, so the class selector allows us to even explain you. It says select and style all elements with class intro. So by definition says the class selector selects elements with a specific class attribute. To select elements with a specific class, write a period character followed by the name of the class. And this is what we exactly did. We said period or dot, and then we said button. Okay. Some people call it period, some people call it full stop. Full stop, btn, and we open brackets and we specify attributes for this class. So, and classes, we can have as many classes as we want in our HTML document. Next thing I would like to introduce is IDs. And this is how we select ID. We say the sharp or this hash symbol, and then we say ID name. So I'm just going to say, let's say main. So we are selecting ID element, or we're selecting an element with ID main, and here we would like to make it, well, let's what we can change actually. Let's add borders. Okay, borders are going to be added, and you will see the difference. Okay, so let me say border, let it be black, and let it has 2 pixels line width, okay, or width just in general. So I'm going to save it like this. Okay, so now if I go back, this is what I can do. I can specify the ID attribute for my section, and I will say it main. Okay. So now, without saving it, this is how my web page looks like right now. But what would happen if I save my document with the section ID main, and if I refresh my page, I forgot for CSS border. Yes, I forgot to specify its style. So I would like it to be solid. Okay. So if I go back and if I refresh my page, why it's not working? sorry. The first thing I need to specify is type or style. And so the first thing is style, then it should be, I know the first one is size and only then style. Okay, I think it's going to work. Yes. So orders also matter in CSS. Okay, and I will explain it a little bit later. Okay, so now you can see that the section with ID main has borders, and borders, this is how it looks like. It is solid and it has 2 pixels width. Okay, and you can see we have borders only around section with ID main. Okay, other things that are not in the section, for example, our navigation bar and other things that are not inside of our section are not bordered anymore. And this is what you can do with IDs. And IDs are unique. So you can have only one ID for your HTML document. So if you use ID main here once, well, it's prohibited to use ID main in any other page, in any other element. Okay, so if I would like to have it, let's say here, ID main, as long as I remember, it will work, but it's not going to work correctly. Okay. So you would rather exclude it. So we use ID only for unique elements. So if you define it for section, that's it. You don't need to write it anywhere else. Okay, so it stays here. What you can actually do, because we have no limitations for IDs, if you would like to have the same styles for another element, you can simply say ID, and let's say to create new one, main2, and just in your style.css you can specify the same parameters for main2 ID. Okay, so that's going to be correct, and also it will bring you the same result. As you can see, now I have borders around my section ID main, and I also have borders around my paragraph element with ID main 2. Okay, and well, as you can see, here we have black borders and here we have green borders. Is that because, well, it's because our P element that comes right after the H2 element, so it means only this one, it has color green. So everything we do with this one will turn green as well. So it's a little bit of CSS, and I know it's quite confusing to understand it from the first time, but as we're going to proceed, as we're going to continue with these lectures, I hope it will become much easier and much more understandable. Okay. So right now, let's have as long as I remember, 15 minutes break. And after we come back, we're going to continue talking about CSS, okay? So we have other things to cover, okay? So now I'm going to close this one and let's have a break, 15 minutes. Hey everyone, let's continue. So the next thing I would like to introduce or I would like to talk about is, so we know now how do we select our classes, how do we select our IDs, how do we select elements, okay? How can we select specific elements, like the one, for example, this one selects all the elements H2 that comes immediately after another H2 and so on. So other things we have is elements and elements. So it means, this thing. So let's say H, or let's say P and B, something like this, and we would like it to be, let's say background color, and we would like it to make it brown for no reason, okay? So if I'm going to do like this, or no, sorry, not P and P, but a P and H2. So because with combination like this, so it says element and element selects all div elements and all P elements. So we're just, listing it all together, the one that we would like to make it with a background color brown. So if we are going to do something like this and we are going to refresh it, you can see all P elements and all H2 elements now have this brownie background. And I know it's not looking good, and I'm just using it as an example. So let's make it, sorry, let's delete it. And now what else? We have elements, space, and element. And what does it mean? It means that we are selecting elements inside of something. So we select all P elements inside div element, div space P. So here, this is what we can do with our document. Let's go back to our index.html. And let's say I will have another P, another paragraph. I'm going to say outside of the section. I'm going to do like this. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say section space P, and I'm going to say background color, and let's make it burly wood now. So what do you think would happen? Well, as you can see, P's or paragraphs that are inside of our section, and you can see, you can definitely see our section because we use borders for our section. So everything what is inside our section, every P has a background color, brown or burly wood, but P that is outside of the section has no background at all. So we are selecting now all P's that is inside of our section, okay? And there is another way we can do this, or there is another way we can combine it. We can say something like main space P. So we are selecting all P's that are inside of our element with ID main. And with cool thing about Visual Studio Code by default, and if you if you hover your mouse, or if you put your mouse over this selector, it will show you the way it's going to work. Okay, so now if we save it, you won't see any difference because our section has an ID main. Okay, so this is the good thing, and this is another way of selecting. Okay, we can do the same thing with classes. So we can say select all classes that inside of that is inside of main. So let's go back and let's go back to our HTML and see. Well, okay, so let's do it with the button. No, fine. So this is what we are going to do. We are saying that select all classes btn that are inside of our ID main and make it background color burly wood. Okay. So what do you think will happen? And remember, we have classes btn for our button here, for our button here, but also for our p class or for our P element here. Okay, so what do you think will happen is, well, our buttons have no background color at all. So this one remains the same, this one remains the same, but our P that is inside of our main ID, with our inside of our section with ID main, has changed its background color. Okay, and you can see there's a lot of combinations how we can use classes and IDs and those elements with specific selectors and so on. So this is how we do it. And if you've been wondering where we can find all the attributes or all the parameters for CSS, I would like to introduce I would like to introduce you to this website as well. It is called css-tricks.com, and we have /Olmanak, and we have / another one. So I'm going to send it to the chat as well, so you can have a look. And here we have all the attributes or all the parameters in alphabetical order. So we can see accent color, align content, align items, and so on, and background, attachment, clip, color, and so on. So we have different types of parameters. Okay, and it's once again, it's very hard to remember them all. So you need to remember maybe some, at least of them, a basic one. Or all you need to understand probably is where to find them and how to read them or how to use them. Okay, so the first one is, let's say, align, not self, where is it? Line items. Yeah, let's open this one. The align items property is related to CSS layout. It affects how elements are aligned both in Flexbox and grid layouts. Okay, and we are not talking about box and grid layouts now. So let us go down a little bit. Flex grow font. Here you can find font display, family, kerning, optical sizing, and so on. Lots of things, but I'm interested in justify content. The justify content properly is a subproperty of flexible blocks. No, not this one as well. Justify items is this one. Yeah, so justify items property is a subproperty of the CSS box alignment module, which basically controls the alignment of grid items within the scope. Okay, so we can say select class element, and you would like to justify items in the center. Okay, and this is how we can do it with our code as well. So let's say I would like to modify our P with ID main 2. So I would like it to be somewhere in the middle. So I can say main 2, we have borders, but also I would like to say justify items, and let's say center. And there are a lot of a lot of combinations. So the first one is normal, then you have stretch, then you have baseline positions where it accepts values and so on. So the syntax looks like this, and there are values like this: auto, normal, stretch, and then you have positional, alignment, center, start, and flex start, flex end. So we are going to talk about these things as well, but for now we're going to use center. So it's going to put our content in the middle of the page. So let's see. It's not supposed to be here. Was it justify items, or I'm mistaken? They're very close to each other. I think it's align items rather than justify items. Nope, it's not align items either. So what was it? Probably it was text align. Let's try. Yes. So text align is okay. Text align property in CSS is used for aligning the inner content of a block element. So everything what is inside of this element is actually will be considered as a text. So the inner content of a block element will be treated as a text, even though our main sorry, even though our main has no text inside, it has other elements with the text. But anyway, it will be considered as content of this element as well. So that's why it is aligned in the middle of the page. If you've been wondering why it looks different, because I zoomed it a little bit. So this is another property that is very useful. So this is how you align text in the middle. What else we can do? So we're going to close justify items. This is not for now. And there are a lot of things: transition delay, transform, and so on, vertical alignments, and other things as well. So we are not going to talk about them all. I would like to introduce you to another thing, or at least I would like to show it to you, is what we call CSS box model. And CSS box model is the way our items or our elements are represented on the page. Okay, and this is our, well, let's use this picture. This is our element. Let's say it is P. Okay, and our P element has the following properties: it has margins, it has borders, padding, and content. Okay. And let me show you our box model this way. So as you can see, we have our P, our paragraph, already with borders. So if I'm going to inspect it, or let's say view, no, inspect it. If I'm going to inspect this, and if you go to styles, and if you scroll it down a little bit, this is what you see here. And this is exactly the content or the box model of this element. So our element looks like this. So it has, the first one is content, and content is everything you see inside of this box. So this text is actually our content, and it has the values of 9057 pixels to 73 pixels. Okay, so if I'm going to resize it like this, the content size will change as well. Next one is padding, and padding by default is 0, so we don't have any padding here. Then the next one is borders. As you can see now, my green borders are turning a little bit yellow. This is because I'm selecting my borders, and you can see it says it's 2 pixels. On the top is also 2 pixels, on the left is 2 pixels, on the right is 2 pixels, and at the bottom is also 2 pixels. And the last thing that we call margins. Okay, so here, as you can see, so if I put my mouse over margins, you can see it turns some area around my element, and only at the top and the bottom part that you can see it tells 16 pixels, and this is exactly the margins that we have currently around my box, around my element. Okay, and other things are going to be the same. I mean, in terms of box model, of course the sizes are going to be different, but anyway. So let's go to our H2, which says second home, and you can see the margins are the following. The content is here. We don't have any padding. We don't have any borders because we haven't specified it. But margins are the following. So it has almost 30 pixels at top and 30 pixels at the bottom. Okay. And this is actually how it's looked like. And this is our P element. Okay. And well, when we are going to talk about CSS box model, I will explain it more specifically, but I just wanted to show you how do we represent our elements on the page. Okay, so you can get a picture of it, and this is what we call a CSS box model. Okay, so I recommend you to read about this one as well. Okay, so let's go back to our page. And the next thing is I would like to show you is that we have this kind of selectors. Okay, so those are what we call main selectors. Okay, so they respond to our main or regular website properties elements. So if we don't do anything on our website, this is how it's going to look like. Okay, but there are other things. Okay, and the first one I would like to introduce is called hover. Okay, and it's very good to show hover with our buttons. So I'm going to use our class btn. Okay, as you can see, I copied it once again like this, but I would like to put something else here, and I would like to say hover. So I say full stop btn, then I have column, and I have hover. Okay, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change font size, so it's going to turn even more bigger, let's say 40 pixels, and the color is also going to change. Let's say it's going to be red. Okay, what do you think would happen? And it's very easy to understand. Well, right now by default, our default button and insert are first of all, they are 30 pixels size, and it's blue, right? But what happens if I put my mouse over this button? It immediately turns red, and the size has increased tremendously. So now it's not 30 pixels anymore, it's 40 pixels. And this is how you do some kind of a transformation on the elements. Of course, if I click on it, nothing would happen, but we can also fix it. So I can say button, and instead of hover, I can say clicked. I think placed, or how was it called? Clicked, pressed. Let me check. I don't reckon now. Button. This is file. Let me see here. Yes, it says CSS hover selector. Selector is used to select elements when you mouse over them. Okay, when I mouse over them, but I'm also interested when I press them or when I click them. Let me see. Was it check? Enabled? No, it's something else. Okay. Okay, let me skip this part for now. I hope I will remember it later, reckon it later. Anyway, so this is just another way of animating things, of kind of animating things on your website. Okay, so this is the way it works. Okay, so we put our mouse over them, over these elements, and it changes its state. Okay, and there are for other things as well with the class CNN or with the class BTN, sorry. So it turns bigger and it turns red. Okay. And this is how you do things with hovering and other states. So this is what we call the state of an element, okay? So it changes its state from one to another, okay? And there are other ways: enable, disable, checked, and so on. So if something is checked, then it's going to be, well, it's going to change the color, or it's going to change the size, and so on. Okay, moving on. And the next thing is we have last and first child. Okay, and last and first child, let me read you this definition. First child CSS, and it's going to say the first child CSS pseudo class represents the first element among a group of sibling elements. Okay, so if we're going to say P and then we say first child, it says select any P that is the first element amongst its siblings. Okay, so it's the first child in the family. So let's say we have H2 like this, and if we're going to say H2 first child, okay, what do you think would happen? Okay, this is what would happen. Okay, so now by default our home, or our first H2 is turned, it's black, and the second one is kind of a gray, blue-gray, but I've changed it. So now I'm saying that it both should be normal and italic, and it should have the same font size. But the first child, the first H2 amongst its siblings should turn this color. Okay, others should remain the same. So I think it will change places, but in reality it doesn't. I always hate this one. It also confuses me. It says one thing, but in reality it doesn't work. So okay, let's see. So this is their HTML document, and this is their CSS. It says color align, background color black, and padding 5 pixels. Okay, this text is selected, this text is not selected, right? And it says P first child. Okay, so everything is right, but why it's not changing my color of my H2 to this one? It remains black. It's always also confused me about last child. Last child doesn't work as well. Okay, what if I change the position in CSS as well? Because sometimes what happens is that the position, of course, as I told you in the beginning, position in CSS matters because, well, it's a cascading style, so it goes from top to bottom, and sometimes maybe it's been what we call overwritten by other styles or other attributes. Yeah, it remains the same. Interesting. Anyway, this is how it works, or at least it should supposed to work. Okay, so they have div element, and inside they have two P's, one P and second P, and you can see they're using the first child hover or the first child selector, and it's turning its color lime, background color black, and padding is 5 pixels. Okay, as you can see here, the result, the first P that it says this text is selected is turning lime. It has background black and the padding is 5 pixels. And this one saying this text is not selected because it works on for the first child. Maybe it doesn't see it here because, well, it's somewhere inside of our section. So probably we need to tell something like section H2. And then here is also should say section H2. But I'm not quite sure. It should have been without even this one. Anyway. Yeah, so it doesn't work for us. Okay, anyway, let's keep this part and we will come back as soon as I figure it out why it doesn't work for us. So the last thing for today I would like to talk about is important. And important is actually changing the order of CSS, of cascading styles. So if we say something is important, is because we would like to make it, or we would like keep these styles even though it will be overwritten somewhere later in the text file or in the CSS file. So let's have a look. This is our H2 element. H2 plus P is going to select all of all P that comes right after H2. So let's see where is it in our text. So this one, right? So now what happened if I will say the same thing again, but later on in the hierarchy. So I will say color not green, but let's turn it also red. Okay. As you can guess, this text turns red immediately because what happens that it first turns green, then it goes down, 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 and at the end it sees, oh, once again H2 plus P, and now this time I need to call it red. Okay, anyway, I'm going to turn it red. So it turns red after it turned it green. Okay, so it goes from top to bottom like this. Okay, that's why now we have our text red instead of green. What if you put something like important? Like this. You're saying that this particular attribute or this particular parameter is important. So it sets the color of an element text forever. So it won't be overwritten by anything that comes after it. So how does it look like? Let's see. And I hope it done it well. Yes. Okay, so it remains green, even though following the cascading style, cascading a rule, it should have been red, right? Because we said that it first turns green because this one comes first, H2 plus P, and the color attribute comes first. But then we said that the color should be red. But because we have this important text or this important flag, we are saying that nevertheless something will come later, something like that is going to override this color. Okay, I want this color to be forever. I want to keep this color until the end of the CSS style. Okay, so if we remove it, of course, once again our text will turn red. Okay, so, and it's not recommended to use this tag or this flag because it's well, it violates the CSS rules. So you better skip it. Okay, I'm just telling you that this one exists, but not many designers, not many developers use it. So the last thing I would like to talk about today is what selectors win out in the cascade depends on the following. The first one, it depends on specificity. And specificity, it's very interesting thing. Okay. So let's go back to our browser and let's Google it and let's say CSS specificity. And it says specificity is the means by which browser decides which CSS property values are the most relevant to an element and therefore will be applied. Specificity is based on the matching rules, which are composed of different sorts of CSS selectors. Okay, and basically it's the following thing. Let's go back. And we're going to say specificity calculator so that it can help us to understand it better. Okay. So it's a visual way to understand CSS specificity. Change the selector or paste it on your in your own. Okay. So let's do like this. So we're going to copy this one, main, and if we place it here, okay, it says IDs is 0, oh sorry, it's 1. Classes, attributes, and pseudo classes are 0. Elements and pseudo elements are 0. So it has the class, or it has the specificity level 100, or let's say better say 100. Okay, so it's the specificity level. So if we change something like this, definitely it will count that now my selector has also element inside. Okay, so the specificity level changes, and this one will take over this one. Okay, why is that? Because that one contains an ID, but it doesn't apply to any to other things as well. I just wanted to show you that in case if the specificity levels are the same in CSS, well, it will depend on the importance order. Okay, in the importance order comes with cascading styles. Okay, so specificity level is just for you to understand how many things we have, or how specific our selector is. Okay, so if we do like something like main, and then we have h2, and then we have class, let's say button. Okay, so this one is a very specific selector that works only for like a small amount of elements. Okay, so it should be like button should come directly after h2, and h2 itself should come directly after id main. So it's a very specific example. So you won't have many elements that are going to be respond to this selector. Okay. And if you will have something like h2, of course you may have many h2s on your page. Okay, so this is not a very specific example. So that's what we call specificity. The next thing I would like to show you today is importance. And importance, I've already showed you that. The first thing is that, well, cascading is the basic rule in CSS. So we read things from top to bottom, okay? And if something comes later, let's say the same parameters come first and then it's been overwritten, so it comes later in the text or in your CSS, is going to be overwritten. So the same example with h2 plus p, okay, we have color green, and then later on we, let's say, not just h2 plus p, but just let's say p to be red. Okay, what do you think would happen with all p's on the page? Well, yeah, the first one, of course, will turn. It will turn red, but this one remains green. Why is that? Why this one remains the same, even though on the source order or in the CSS file we said that because this one comes later than h2 plus p, why our text is still green, not red? Is because of the specificity level. So now our specificity level is h2 plus p. So the specificity level is 2, and our p is just has the specificity level 1. So this one is bigger than this one. So even though we have it later in our CSS, so it's somewhere at the bottom of the page, well, this one never overwrites something like this because of the specificity. And once again, specificity is very important. And the last, we also know importance tag. So this one. Now we also know importance, and importance is just the boss here, and it will override everything. It will take over any specificity you want. You see, it turns anything red. All the P's are going to be red because this one is the paramount important. Okay, so that is actually, and if your specificity level is the same, if you don't have this important tag or flag anymore, so everything follows the CSS cascading rule. So from top to bottom is going to override elements with the same specificity, for example. So it's a little bit about CSS here that we covered for today. And I know it's also very hard to understand from the first try. I want you to practice this one on your own. So I will share some documents or some links where you can practice your CSS. But the best way is to practice CSS doing your assignment. Okay, so there is no better way to practice web technologies than doing your assignment. Okay, so I would like to announce your assignment now, right now, since we have 10 minutes time. Okay, and let me show it to you. And I hope everyone is listening. So assignment number one. On your assignment number one, you will have to create a Tribute page with a subscription form that must contain 2 input fields, name and email, and of course, a submit button. You can dedicate this content to any person or group of people you like. And usually when you create a Tribute page, you create it for someone who is already not with us, who is already dead, okay? So you're tributing to them. And this can be a star, let's say, I don't know, Beatles, like what else? Who else? Anyone who is already not with us, you would like to have a tribute page to, to highlight their achievements, to highlight their importance for humanity and other things, or maybe for you because you admire these people, okay? And regarding the structure, everything is up to you. So I'm not telling you that the font or the image should be on the left, text should be on the right, and so on. So you may have different structures of HTML. Okay, so you may place your picture on the right, you may place your picture on the right, on the left, you may place your text somewhere else, and so on. So regarding the structure, you have your full freedom. So I'm not going to tell you which one you should follow. And also, I just would like to tell you that you don't need to you don't forget about CSS. So don't forget to customize your website with CSS. Okay, so it means that you don't need to put all of the things that we covered today. Okay, so you may, because this is going to be your first assignment, well, probably you will use something very easy selectors, like somewhere you will use IDs, somewhere you will use classes, somewhere you will use just element selectors, okay? So they are not going to be very hard combinations, but they're going to use, they're going to work correctly. And also, do not over try with your CSS. I mean, sometimes your website can look a little bit simple, but at the same time appealing. So let me show you some examples, okay? So I'm telling you here as well. Try to make it as simple as possible, but at the same time appealing and beautiful and well structured. Okay. So let me show you some examples. So I'm going to go to Tribute page search in Google. Okay. And those are the different examples. So here we have Hedy Lamarr, actress and inventor. And this is basically this is the website. that is dedicated in memory of Hedy Lamarr. And you can see it's a very simple one. So you have a little bit different background. So it's not white, it's a little bit gray. You have a picture of her, and around this picture you have some borders. Then you have a text on the right hand side. The text is also, it's not aligned. Oh, sorry, it's aligned in the mid, not in the middle. It's just a regular alignment. So it's neither middle nor it's a stretch. So just a regular alignment of the text. You have unordered lists with different facts about her. Okay, and you have a heading 1 and heading 2, and you also have what we call a horizontal line. And horizontal line, as you can see, it comes with a shadow. Okay, so it's not just a regular horizontal line, it has some shadow at the bottom part of the horizontal line. So it looks a little bit, well, simple, but if you will try to recreate something like this, it will be much difficult, much harder than you think. Okay? And we have something like this one as well. So this one is a little bit more complicated. This one looks okay as well. So let me show you. Yeah, looks very simple. You have heading, text, picture, then you have description of the picture, unordered list with timelines, and that's it. Okay, and also you have a link here, hyperlink. So looks a little bit simple as well, but in reality very hard to recreate. This one much harder than you think as well. This one is very difficult. So some things for inspirations, you can look for tribute pages of other people, but I strongly, I prohibit to copy their work. Okay, so you may recreate it, but you need to recreate it on your own. So please. Please do not copy any code from the internet, okay? Try to do things on your own. Let it be simple, let it be not that complicated, but it's going to be very honest work, and I will see your hard work and your efforts, okay? So as I said in the beginning of the course, I'm going to assess it as well. So you can look for examples on the internet as well, as I said, but do not copy it. Okay, and those are the just main components of the tribute page that I would like you to see. You must include the following parts of in your completed project: article, a title or a heading on the tribute page. So this is the heading, of course. Then should include an image. The image must have a caption. So caption means when you have a picture and there is a small text explaining what's happening on this picture, or who is the one on the picture, and so on. Okay, so description of the picture. Then you should include a timeline of the life of the tribute in the form of a list. So you may have an unordered list, and you will just briefly explain his or her biography. Like, for example, like date of birth, date of death, and so on. And maybe some 2 or 3 achievements in life. And the last thing is an HTML form subscription with 2 input fields and submit buttons. Okay, so every time, for example, when you go to a website and you would like to, you like the content of this website, you would like what they're offering, they usually provide what we call a subscription box. So they ask you your name and they ask you your email so that they can send you those newsletters maybe, or regular updates. So I would like to do something the same, even though it's not really related to the tribute page, but I would like to see how you understand the HTML forms or how well you understand HTML forms. Okay, so I would like to see a subscription box. Okay, and where you would like to put your subscription box is up to you. Maybe you will put it somewhere here. Maybe you will put it somewhere here. Maybe it will be at the end, and so on. Look for inspirations on the internet as well, and what do you think would be better for you? So for now, I'm not really going to assess your design. I'm not going to tell you, oh, this background color is not looking with this color and so on, because I'm not a designer on my own, myself. So I will not really look at your designing parts, but do not try to make it do not try to customize many components. So if you would like to keep it black and white or gray, white and black, it's okay. Okay, as long as it's well structured, as long as you have very nice amount of CSS selectors. Okay, so probably you won't use all of these attributes or all of these parameters. So you won't use maybe filter, flex, and so on. But at least you will change, for example, the font size. You will change the text alignment. Maybe you will add a little bit of backgrounds and so on. So it's up to you, and just do not try to make it. So do not try to put as many fillings as you want, because sometimes it will ruin your website. Okay. And the last thing is submit the zip version of your files. Any type other than zip and raw will be ignored. So if you will submit me 3 HTML documents and 1 CSS file that is not going to be zipped, I will not accept it. Okay. So at the end, your project, you may do something like this. Okay. So you finish your project, you just take your project documents and you right click on it and just say add to archive. Okay. And just click OK. And that will give you your or a zipped version of your files. And you need to submit this one. Okay. Do not submit them separately. You need to submit them all at once. So I will not, download it 100 times. Okay. So that's it actually about the assignment. And once again, a reminder: any type of cheating will not be tolerated and will lead to 0, and of course retake. Okay. So expect this assignment is due Sunday, okay, 11:59 p.m. But I decided to change the deadline, so I will tell it is going to be Monday, okay. So on Monday you'll have to submit it, okay. You'll have to submit it on Monday. So Monday 11:59 is going to be your deadline, okay. Yeah, Monday 11:59 p.m. So you have almost 3 days to finish, and 3 days and 6 hours to finish. Okay, so it's not maybe it's not that hard, but please do not leave it for the last moment. So try to do it on tomorrow or maybe a Sunday, because if you will leave it on for Monday, maybe you will have another assignments or another troubles, personal and so on. So you may forget about this one. That's it about the description about your assignment number 1. Do you have any questions maybe?